game. For the rest of you, good night. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody.
Now United flies to Beijing, Tokyo, Sydney. One test duties and all. United dredger. A fresh 300 pounds.
Welcome to Ogden, Utah, the campus of Weber State College, a second-round game in the West region. The Blazers from Alabama, Birmingham, and the Tar Heels from North Carolina. Tim Ryan and Lynn Shackelford here as we join the action in progress, having played nearly 6 minutes of the first half, and North Carolina has jumped into a 16-4 lead, and their All-American Brad Daugherty has been the story so far. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 for 4 from the floor, and he's getting an early rest as the Tar Heels have jumped into a 17-4 lead now, with Steve Hale at the line having hit the first of 2.
Gene Bartow has also gone to his bench, but more out of necessity as his starters just aren't getting the job done.
And Carolina sends in their first substitute of the game, Curtis Hunter, number 43. Actually the second since Daugherty had gone out, with Warren Martin coming in for him. UAB
has made 2 out of 14 shots to start this contest. Dean Smith likes to make a lot of substitutions in the first half. Anybody who may be in at the end of the game, he wants to have them in the game in the first half to kind of get used to the contest.
That was Jerome Mincy with the miss. He is number 40. We see Gene Bartow not happy with the start by his Blazers, who were 25-10 coming into the game. They went to the final of the Sun Belt tournament, losing to Jacksonville 70-69. They beat Missouri in the first round here, 66-64. Carolina on the miss.
We have a held ball, which will be alternate possession. The ball will go to Alabama, Birmingham. They need all the breaks they can get right now, Tim.
That was Dave Popson who missed for Carolina on the preceding try, and it is 18-4 as Alabama, Birmingham brings it up the floor. Steve Mitchell, he's their main man, number 14. So far, little productivity from any of the Blazers thus far. And a steal there as they try to get it back to Mitchell, and it's Kenny Smith. So Gene Bartow has another man up and ready to come in, Cedric Evans, sophomore center, waiting to come in, and Mitchell to Charles. Charles, a sometime starter, did not start today. Anthony Gordon started at the forward spot. And a foul in the lane as Brad Daugherty comes back in for Carolina. And there is Cedric Evans, 6'9" sophomore from Fort Pierce, Florida, coming in for UAB. And Steve Hale comes back in. Hale and Daugherty getting early rest period, brief albeit, but they did get some time on the bench. And Jerome Mincy at the line. Hamilton High School, one of the so-called Memphis connection on this UAB team. 3 players from 3 different Memphis high schools among their starters. And Mincy hits to make it 20-5 with Carolina in command. On the floor for UAB, Charles, number 24. Michael Charles, sophomore from Birmingham. Steve Mitchell, number 14. Their point guard. Mincy, Evans, and number 24, and we mentioned Charles. This is Daugherty, is Hunter, pardon me. And a collision along the baseline as Mincy stepped over to cut him off.
Mincy slipped a little bit. I feel that it was a pretty good call, although you'll never convince Mincy of that. He was trying to draw the offensive foul. I think the reason he got the foul called on him is he kind of was sticking out his knee.
Didn't really get set. 14 fouls on UAB, 3 on UNC. Joe Wolf has come back into the ball game. He started for the Tar Heels, also got an early rest. Hunter, and that's rejected. Good play by Cedric Evans, number 52. The other way comes Ponder. He's fouled on the way to the basket. And it'll be Jeff Lebo picking up the foul, number 14.
The block is great. As you can see, Wolf gets tangled up there with Mincy.
Dean Smith has his starters back on the floor. 3 of them getting brief rests in the early going here as Carolina jumped into a lead. You've got Lebo, Hale, Doherty, Kenny Smith, and Joe Wolf. Ponder at the line for Alabama Birmingham. Mincy, Ponder, and Mitchell, the 3 starters for UAB. And then they've got Evans and number 24, Michael Charles.
To get here, North Carolina had to beat a stubborn Utah team on Thursday night in this building, 84-72. And they did it with a brilliant second half, and I get the feeling that Dean Smith feels that his team is back. They're all healthy again, and he thinks they played an excellent second half against Utah, who had the crowd really going for the stubborn Utah youth.
22-7. Mitchell lets it fly, and he hits. His first basket of the game. Mitchell shoots at 46% from the floor and averages 17 points a game. This is Doherty, and this time it's stripped away from him. Brought up the floor by James Ponder. Mitchell off the rim and a foul underneath.
Yeah, it'll be pushing on the Blazers. Gene Bartow is in his 6th straight NCAA tournament appearance.
Evans picks up the foul for Alabama Birmingham. Lebo and Kenny Smith working the backcourt for the Tar Heels, and the alley-oop for Doherty over his outstretched hands, picked off by Mincy. Mitchell back quickly.
Mitchell got poked in the eye, possibly from one of his own teammates.
I think it was his own man, Evans.
Mitchell's very quick and always get himself open when he doesn't have the ball. And then he can create a shot like that.
What a nice turnaround, and it won't drop for him. And Carolina rebounds Joe Wolf. Nice play by Mitchell, got nothing from it. 10:47 remaining, first half. Carolina 22-9.
3-second
violation. And now Tracy Foster into the game for the Blazers. 6'4" junior guard from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Archie Johnson checks in. He started along with Mitchell, Ponder, and Mincy.
About all you can do right now if you're Gene Bartow is, for whatever reason, your team wasn't ready at the start or they just got off to a bad start. You go to your bench, you start substituting a lot, try to find yourself a combination of players that'll work.
And yet one would think he didn't really want to have to do that early. If he was playing a little more even here, generally he would only go a couple of deep off that bench. But he's just been forced, as you say, to try and experiment, get something going here, as they are badly behind in the early going. There's a long way to go. 10:30 to play, first half.
Very good defense by North Carolina has thrown off the shooting. They are now 3 of 18 from the floor.
Ponder missing that one. Kenny Smith back for Carolina. Little travel there on Lebo. And for Carolina, into the game comes Curtis Hunter again, number 43, the junior forward from Durham, North Carolina. And Steve Mitchell checks back in for UAB. Alabama Birmingham, coached by Gene Bartow. 24th season coaching. His 8th year at Alabama Birmingham. And he's had them in the NCAA 6 out of the 8 years that he has been coaching at UAB.
Beautiful pass.
Hale.
Credit Doherty, the big guy, with a great bounce pass that you would normally see from a little guard.
Steve Hale, a senior guard from Jenks, Oklahoma. Biology major, headed into medical school. That's Johnson. 4 for 20 from the floor for Alabama Birmingham, leaving them 24-11 with 9:33 to play first half.
A lot of people had written North Carolina off. They came into the tournament having lost 4 of their last 5. A lot of that was just tough opposition, and then of course they had some injuries. Hale, Wolf in particular were hurt, as was Martin coming off the bench, and they're all healthy again.
Curtis Hunter with a nice inside move. Makes it 26-11 Carolina. Tracy Foster. Off the glass, Michael Charles. Hale back the other way. Won't drop for him, and Mincy rebounds. Our officials today, Mike Tanco, Dan Woldridge, and Jim Burr. Mitchell trying to flip it up underhanded, wouldn't drop for him. And Carolina quickly back the other way. Hunter tipped out of bounds by Foster, and a timeout on the floor with 8:26 remaining in the first half. Carolina 26, UAB 13.
Now, almost every new car and truck that's made...
Lynn, suddenly, right from the beginning, you find yourself in a big hole like UAB has. What can you do to climb back in against a quality team like Carolina?
Well, you've got to get Steve Mitchell, their leading scorer, into the scoring act. So far, he has not been very effective. He's made only 1 out of 6 shots. Then secondly, you've got to stop the North Carolina fast breaks. They've had some real easy ones off of these bad misses.
That is Foster hitting from outside, the junior guard from Fort Wayne, Indiana. 26-15. Warren Martin back on the floor for Carolina. Big number 54, 7-footer. Hobson is in there, number 35. 6'9" junior from Ashley, Pennsylvania. This is Kenny Smith, and he hits. So Hobson, Martin, Smith, Hunter, and Lebo on the floor for Carolina. Mitchell and Foster, the backcourt for UAB, with Charles, Archie Johnson, and number 34, Dylan Howard, a freshman from Fort Wayne, Indiana, making his first appearance.
Zone defense, they're having to settle for the outside shots. That makes it tough.
Tracy Foster hits his second long one, 28-17. Foul on Johnson.
Yeah, the basket will count. And they already, UAB, have 6 team fouls. Of course, North Carolina's got 5.
Big Warren Martin, number 54.
Dean Smith trying to put some twin towers in there in the way of Doherty and Martin.
Charles called for a foul. Michael Charles, the sophomore from Birmingham. And that is a twin tower offense for sure when you've got those two men in together. Martin will go to the line. Warren Martin listed at 6'11". Doherty listed at 6'11 3/4.
And the tallest UAB player is Archie Johnson at 6'8". So North Carolina, not only do they have the height inside, but of course they don't give away any quickness in the backcourt either.
Big Warren Martin from Axton, Virginia. That is Dylan Howard. 30-19. Kenny Smith running the offense for the Tar Heels. Hunter off for Lebo, and it won't drop for him. Rebound Doherty. He misses, but a foul on the play. Jeff Hale checks in. And Curtis Hunter will leave for Carolina.
North Carolina is shooting so well in this game, and I suppose it's not a surprise as you can see what they do for the season. Very best in the country, and look at the teams right with them are also some of the best teams in the country.
Well, it looks like they'll set an ACC record too in that department. It was held by Maryland with 55.1% back in 1980. Doherty at the line.
One of the reasons that North Carolina is such a good shooting team from the field is that man right there, Brad Doherty. Look at that, 12 for 14 in their win Thursday here against Utah. They get good shots, but they also fast break well, so they get a lot of shots inside.
Doherty led the nation in field goal percentage for individuals, 64.7 coming into the tournament, and he's actually upped it with a good performance the other night. He's now at 65.4 as he led the Tar Heels over Utah 84-72 in the first round game.
Dean Smith, as usual, mixing up his defenses, goes to the man-to-man. Wow. He didn't need to shoot it any higher.
Jerome Mincy, the senior from Memphis, had 14 against Missouri in the opening round game here in the West. That makes it 31-21. UAB has reduced the margin somewhat.
Well, we've got 6 minutes left in the first half. If they could go in at halftime down by 10 or less, they'd have to be very satisfied based on the slow start that Alabama-Birmingham had.
Doherty fouled underneath.
North Carolina, you know they're going to go inside. Doherty, with that great shooting touch and the size advantage that they have, he uses his body so well, but even before he gets the ball.
Mincy picked up his 3rd personal, and the other big man out there for them, Archie Johnson, for the Blazers, also has 3.
Another reason why you want to go inside. You know they're going to probably foul you.
Doherty misses from the line. He's nearly a 70% shooter from the free throw line.
The winner of this game, of course, will face Louisville, who was an 82-68 winner over Bradley.
Cedric Evans comes in. Mincy goes out for the Blazers. Evans, a sophomore from Fort Pierce, Florida. Doherty makes the second of 2. 32-21, Carolina. Tim Ryan and Lynn Shackelford live from Weber State College in Ogden, Utah. CBS continuing coverage of the NCAA championships on the road to Dallas. Turner. Reggie Turner, number 33, in for UAB. Fast break Carolina, but Hale almost lost the dribble, so they'll set up the half-court Kenny Smith. And now Hale in charge.
Levo's been in a shooting slump, but he's made a couple here in the game, but he hesitated on that one, didn't he?
Joe Wolf missed the tip-in try. Mitchell back the other way with Foster. Steve Mitchell not had a chance to get into his rhythm. He's the main man for the Blazers.
Look at his double teaming out here. Doherty and Hale, hard to pass around. It's a gambling defense. As we said, Dean Smith loves to change his defenses. He's got a lot of them.
Foster, Tracy Foster, the junior guard from Fort Wayne, hits for the Blazers. They've got 2 substitutes ready to come in.
Crowd comes to life a little bit. I think they'd like to see the Blazers come back.
Good job by Turner, knocking it away from Doherty.
Wolf got pushed, I thought, on the body on that. That's why he missed it so badly.
Joe Wolf, number 24, and back the other way. Mitchell. Rebound Turner. He's got it. Reggie Turner off the bench.
This is not what North Carolina wanted. They're almost letting UAB back into this contest.
Turner, the freshman from Birmingham, has been a factor since he came on the floor. Won't go for Kenny Smith, and Wolf on the hook shot, no basket.
There'll be a foul on Doherty. We won't have free throws yet, but that's the 16th foul on North Carolina.
UAB has 17 fouls, and the Blazer cheerleaders trying to rev up their squad as they come back into things here. With 4:01 remaining, it is now 32-25, Carolina.
Started out as a party.
Welcome back to Weber State College in Ogden, Utah, in the shadow of the Wasatch Mountain Range of the Rockies. Beautiful, bright, sunny day. Snow still on the mountains, and the temperature cooking up a little inside here at the D Event Center because Alabama-Birmingham has climbed back to reduce the margin to 7 points. Carolina led by 13 very early in this contest. Tim Ryan and Lynn Shackelford with 3:55 remaining in the first half, and Charles over the timeline lost the ball back, so it'll be Carolina ball. And looking quickly at some scores from around the nation. LSU upsets Memphis State 83-81 in the Southeast. And Georgia Tech over Villanova 66-61. Kansas over Temple 65-43 in the Midwest. And it was Michigan State over Georgetown, with Skiles getting 24 points. Duke walloped Old Dominion 89-61. And as the Tar Heels miss and the rebound is taken by Gordon for Alabama, we see that DePaul upset Oklahoma 74-69, and here it was Louisville over Bradley 82-68 in our first game at Ogden, Utah today. 32-27, a 5-point margin as Carolina has the ball. I want to remind you, Brent Musburger will have highlights from some of those games at halftime of our contest. Smith cross court.
And they've come alive on defense, the Blazers of Alabama Birmingham. No, that won't work.
Good anticipation by Kenny Smith intercepting, and he's got Ranzino Smith alone under the basket.
Wow, has this thing ever turned around in a hurry? North Carolina getting a little careless.
Third foul on Doherty.
The only thing that Alabama Birmingham was not doing well early in the game was shooting. And one of the problems was they were just missing shots, and then the other problem, they were not getting good shots. That has turned around. Their horrendous field goal percentage is now up to 39%, and they're getting better shots. I think, not to second-guess Dean Smith, but he's used so many different defenses that it's maybe confused his defense and allowed Alabama Birmingham to get some good shots out there.
He's had a lot of substitutions in early, too, because he got that early lead. He gave his starters early, brief rests, so he hasn't had the same rhythm on the floor. And that is Evans with the foul for Alabama Birmingham. 32-27, Carolina 5-point lead. They led by 13 early. At the line will be Warren Martin. Back in comes Kenny Smith. Out goes Steve Hale. So Carolina now has Smith and Levo in the backcourt. Joe Wolf, Curtis Hunter, and Warren Martin up front. Doherty with 3 fouls getting a rest.
Martin was one of the North Carolina injured players, bad foot, and he has come back. He's not running at full strength, but he can play.
Steve Mitchell, Charles, Evans, Gordon, and Foster on the floor for the Blazers.
You may recall Alabama Birmingham, Tim, trailed Missouri Thursday night in the first half and came back in the second half and won. So they have a track record for perhaps coming back. They won 66-64 over Missouri.
Travel call against Cedric Evans. Turnover gives Carolina the ball with 2:06 to play first half and a 5-point lead. Jeff Lebo, the pride of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Won't drop for him. Rebound by Wolf. Joe Wolf off the iron and taken down by Alabama Birmingham. Anthony Jack Gordon, the senior from Memphis.
North Carolina has not scored a field goal in the last 6 minutes.
Kenny Smith picks up the foul on the play.
And Carolina's field goal percentage at one time in excess of 60% is now only 45%.
Mitchell misses from the charity stripe, and it remains a 5-point lead with 1:35 and counting down first half.
I think there's been a lot of pressure on the Tar Heels. They were ranked #1 most of the year, and they faltered a little bit at the end of the season. And I think maybe the expectation level was so high that they're playing with that stress, and now to lose this big lead, I think, is going to take away even more confidence, perhaps, from their game.
Dave Popson comes in, the junior from Ashley, Pennsylvania. Warren Martin goes out. Well, they were 21-0, and everybody's #1, and then all of a sudden the slide at the end, Duke taking over the top spot. 4 out of 5 they lost, including the first round in the ACC tournament to Maryland. And they rebounded against Utah in the opening game out here, but they struggled somewhat until midway through the second half. Then they took it away from the outmanned Utes.
I think we got the stage set for an excellent second half here.
Kenny Smith cans it from outside.
So they went just under 7 minutes without scoring a field goal.
34-27. Steve Mitchell. Mitchell's yet to get hot for UAB. You know he can shoot the ball. Charles. Mitchell watched by Kenny Smith. Boy, there's some great feet for those two guys on each other, isn't it? a sight to see. Kenny Smith and Steve Mitchell, two real quicksters.
And Mitchell doing the smart thing. Once he penetrates, getting in the position where he can get to the free throw line and shoot.
Mitchell with just 2 points goes to the free throw line.
Kenny Smith goes out for North Carolina with 2 personal fouls, so he will not be in danger of picking up his third.
And we had Smith with 3 fouls at one point. I did hear the announcer say that it was his first one. We had him for 2, so we'll check that at halftime. Mitchell just can't buy it from the free throw line. He's a 73% shooter normally. And that hurts. Chance to reduce the margin to 5 again. Under the 30-second mark we go. Carolina, love it, going to use it up here.
Yeah, 4 quarters time.
Well, the crowd not appreciating that unless they're wearing blue and white up there.
They're waiting too long to get into their offense, I think. Now they're just going to have to throw something up.
Rantino Smith to Hale, and Hale off the iron at the buzzer. Off the front rim from Steve Mitchell.
He got closer
So
on
the
that than he did
Blazers,
at the free throw line.
That's right. The Blazers from Alabama, Birmingham were down 13, but they cut it to 7 at the end of the first half. And remember, we'll be bringing you Brent Musburger from our studios in New York with highlights from other games today. That's the end of the first half with the score. North Carolina 34, Alabama, Birmingham 27. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
He's their leading scorer on the year, and he just had a horrendous first half. Could not make anything out there. Missed all 3 of his free throw attempts, so he's got to get back into the shooting act for them to come back and win this game. Indication of what happened in the first half was they're geared to look to Steve Mitchell. As you can see right there, they pass up an open shot. Reginald Turner does. Mitchell's got the shot out there. Finally ends up taking it, and that's one of his 9 misses. So he knows that he's got to do that. Maybe, Tim, it's just not a good day if you're from Memphis, because Memphis State lost, and he's a senior from Memphis.
Well, you know, the Carolina team really played 2 halves in 1 half today because they were leading by as much as 16 points in the early going, and then things just turned right around. Look at that. Over the last 13:30, it was UAB 23-14. So that's got to give Gene Bartow and his troops a feeling that, hey, we're not that bad a team compared to North Carolina. Look what we did in the second half of that first half, and they trail by only 7 as we begin the second half.
When you look at the start and Steve Mitchell shooting, they're very fortunate to be where they are. I thought North Carolina kind of let them back into the contest. It was kind of a scatter ball type game, and they were changing their players and defenses and just let them get going.
Well, we'll see what happens in the second half here because UAB very much in it, just 7 points behind Carolina. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station. In the second half, and North Carolina's Tar Heels lead 34-27. Kenny Smith, Doherty, Hale, Lebo, and Wolf. The starters at the beginning of the game start the second half. And Tracy Foster feeling that that should be UAB ball. He was the leading scorer off the bench with 6 points for the Blazers.
North Carolina, you can see, once they get a lead, they usually don't give it up.
Kenny Smith from the corner. 36-27. All right, for the Blazers. They've got Mike Charles on the floor with Foster and Mitchell in the backcourt. Archie Johnson, number 50. And number 24, you mentioned Charles. Mincy is the 5th man, number 40, Jerome Mincy, the senior from Memphis. Wolf picked up his first personal foul.
Mitchell goes to his left. He's got excellent balance, but watch, he just dips his whole body right into Wolf. Wolf didn't even move, and that's why Wolf had a smile on his face saying, hey, I didn't do anything. Don't they always, or seem to often, give the break to the offensive player there?
Mitchell has yet to hit from the free throw line. This is his 5th attempt. Got that one. Shakes his head and says, finally. Finally.
Yeah, you'd rather have this kind of game in December.
Lebo, Hale, Kenny Smith. Working the backboard. Hale lets it fly and over the backboard off the rim.
Hale is back in the lineup for North Carolina. I think that's really good news. He's not one of the greatest basketball talents in the country, but I think he's one of the finer players in the country, and I think he's a key to the Tar Heels. You can see a wrap or a jacket of some sort. Remember, he had a collapsed lung, Steve Hale, number 25. And he played so well here in the second half at this altitude, 4,300 feet above sea level. And that's an indication to Dean Smith that he's all the way back now.
Kenny Smith with a miss. Rebound by Charles. Charles for UAB to Mitchell. Mitchell pops the jumper, and he's got it. So Mitchell on his first try here in the second half from the floor picks up 2 to reduce the margin back to 6.
Alabama-Birmingham appropriately playing that zone and sagging in. Look, they don't want to go to Doherty, but good passing. And you got all of a sudden Doherty being guarded one-on-one.
Doherty opens it to 8, 38-30. Brad Doherty, 10 points on the game. Johnson making the move inside. Draws a foul.
Oh, could that be on Doherty?
Well, Kenny Smith put his hand up. Let's see.
His third.
Lebo, apparently. Lebo picks up his third personal.
Doherty has 3 personals already.
Mitchell with Lebo on him. Off for Charles. Mitchell. That won't drop for him. Rebound. Hale battling there with 2 of the Blazers, both Mincy and Foster. Foster picked up the foul, his second.
I think Gene Bartow here in the second half is just going to go with the players that he thinks happen to have the hot hand this afternoon. We're talking about a single elimination tournament in the NCAA, and you got to go with what you can win with on that particular day. You kind of throw out your regular substituting for the season.
Foster came in early. James Ponder getting the rest, and Foster has started here in the second half. Mincy hits. 40-32. Smith quickly the other way. Lebo underneath, and a nice block on that. Lebo again, and traveling call. No basket.
I didn't think he traveled, and neither did Dean Smith. The key on that play was that Kenny Smith gets the ball down the court in such a hurry. He set all that up.
Carolina's turned it over 9 times. Mitchell slowing things down here. Evans, number 52.
Okay, that might be the 4th personal on Doherty right out there. No, it's a break again. They give it to Steve Hale. They recognize the importance of Mitchell, and so Doherty comes out and double teams. It could have gone to either one.
Foster. Doherty rebound. Kenny Smith, the whirling dervish, off to Hale. His pass knocked out of bounds by Mitchell.
Zone defense, you can see him packing it in inside, trying to keep it away from Doherty. They want Lebo to take the outside shot. He's come into this game in somewhat of a slump.
Lebo bringing a 9-point-a-game average into this contest.
Yeah, and Lebo's only 3 for 9 in this game.
Hale underneath Doherty. Doherty lets it fly.
Dean
Carolina
Smith
looking for a foul.
Yeah, Smith comes all the way down to the end of the bench.
Carolina ball, but no foul called. Doherty underneath. This time he is fouled. Evans picks it up. Cedric Evans, the sophomore from Fort Pierce, another non-starter who's been getting a fair amount of time in this game. His third personal. Doherty at the line.
Alabama, Birmingham having a lot of problem defending North Carolina. They just don't have that height, and North Carolina knows that, and they're just going to keep going into Brad Doherty, I believe. 20-year-old senior.
With a 20-point average. 42-32, it's back to 10. It was 7 at the half.
When you are a short team like Alabama, Birmingham, usually you're the one that wants to press, and in this case, North Carolina puts on the press.
Mincy missed the bucket. No foul call, and Lebo came away with a smack in the nose. Underneath Doherty, won't drop for him. Battle for the rebound.
There's the 4th foul on Doherty. Jeff Lebo trying to shake off as you indicated, a blast on the nose there.
He went up for the rebound here, and Mincy didn't see where he was. He was reaching back for the rebound and caught him right in the nose. See, there's Mincy. He's reaching back for that loose ball, and in comes Lebo, and he just walked right into that smash, and he's got a little bloody nose.
So they got to get Doherty out of there with 4 personals. Now, that'll make it a lot easier for Alabama, Birmingham to defend North Carolina. Although Martin certainly is a force to be reckoned with as well because of his height.
6'11", 243-pound senior from Axton, Virginia. Warren Martin back in the game. 42-32. UAB with the ball. Charles over to Mincy. Mincy driving. Stopped by Martin. Johnson recovers. He's pushed by Martin, and there'll be a foul there as the elbows come up a little.
That's 5 team fouls already on North Carolina, while UAB has only 2 team fouls.
Second foul against Martin. And you see Doherty on the bench with 4. Lebo has 3. Johnson, Mincy, and Evans for Alabama, Birmingham each have 3. Foster to Mitchell. Back for Foster. Foster lets it fly. He can't get it. Johnson battles for a rebound. It's taken down by the Blazers. That's Charles. Foster again gets this one.
Yeah, usually when you get 2 shots in that short span of time, he made a correction on where he missed the previous one, and the correction worked.
8-point margin, 42-34. Steve Hale back to 10.
North Carolina doing a good job with some outside shooting from Hale, and in particular Kenny Smith.
Traveling call against Charles. Charles saw an open lane over there, asked Mitchell for the ball. He wanted to go right to the hoop with it, but he traveled as he took the pass. 44-34. 15 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. The winner meeting Louisville in Houston next week.
Smith is really hurting them. He is now 6 of 10 in shooting today.
12 points for Kenny Smith, 12 points for Brad Doherty. Mincy, shot blocked by Warren Martin, but Martin picks up a foul on the play, his 3rd.
Okay, this is good for Alabama, Birmingham. This is what they should be doing to come back in this game. Take the ball inside, draw the fouls. And Mincy is the young man who can do it for you, especially when you're not shooting well from the outside. It just might make for an easier shot for Steve Mitchell.
Timeout called with Carolina leading 46-34. UAB and North Carolina are in some pretty good company. The only schools to compete in the last 6 tournaments include these 2 on the floor right now, and they're joined by the likes of Villanova, Georgetown, and Kentucky.
Well, that's a real credit there for UAB to Gene Bartow. He's in his 8th year there, and of course he started the basketball program, whereas North Carolina has a great heritage in the sport.
So it is the Blazers' ball, and this is Mincy.
That's the way you work against the zone defense. Good sharp passing and then hit quickly in the middle.
9 points for Mincy. Doherty leads along with Kenny Smith. They each have 12.
Excellent play called by Dean Smith during the timeout. They set up the double screen to free Martin underneath.
48-36. Charles. James Ponder back in the game, number 32 for the Blazers during the last timeout. This is Mitchell.
Well, he's not going to hesitate, is he?
Hale with the rebound. To Lebo. Outside the big man Martin, quickly out to Kenny Smith. Lebo and Hale. The Tar Heels moving it around for Joe Wolf. And a foul underneath against Mincy. Chance for the three-point play. And an opportunity to really open things up again for Carolina.
Credit Steve Hale here with a brilliant pass. This is why I think he's so important to this team. Not many college players can do this and move the ball so quickly. He just didn't waste any time. He knew where Wolf was the whole time. And, of course, for Mincy, that's his 4th personal foul.
Wolf missing on the free throw try. 13:47 to play. Carolina 50. Alabama Birmingham 36.
Carolina doing an excellent job with Brad Doherty on the bench with 4 personal fouls. Give some of those guys out there a lot of credit. Martin in particular, good job defensively there.
Archie Johnson missing. Hale comes down with a rebound. Hale kind of a sneaky rebounder. He just has that great anticipation. Charles driving right through Hale. And I believe they're going to call him on the charge.
Yeah, the crowd doesn't like it. I don't like that either. That was, I just think, just a missed call. Steve Hale acted it out pretty well. I think you'll see that he was still moving. Yeah, that was not even close. But Alabama Birmingham's got bigger problems right now. They're down by 14. And North Carolina has settled down. They're playing smart basketball.
We talked about Hale's rebounding. He's got 5 in this game so far. Not among the big guys on the floor. Missed that shot badly. Wolf rebounds. Won't go for him, and it's rebounded by Gordon for UAB. Mitchell lets it fly. Followed by Gordon.
Very good. Mitchell is missing every shot in this half by hitting the front part of the rim. I'm sure he's aware of that, but every shot is short, and they're straight, too. Mitchell is now 2 for 15.
Big Warren Martin puts the ball on the floor. Kenny Smith recovers the pass, but can't get it up, and a battle underneath between Martin and Gordon. The foul is against Warren Martin.
It'll be free throw time.
That's 4 on Martin. Now remember, he's in there for Doherty, who's got 4. That brings Curtis Hunter back in. So the 2 biggest men of the Tar Heels are on the bench here with still 12:32 to play, each with 4 fouls.
Hale also comes out, but I doubt if he's out for any length of time. He and Kenny Smith are doing a real good job of protecting this North Carolina lead.
Jerome Mincy on the UAB bench in foul trouble. So they're missing one of their big men, and there's the picture. Mincy with 4, Johnson and Evans each with 3 for the Blazers. Martin and Doherty with 4, Lebo with 3 for Carolina. Gordon makes the first of 2, 50-39. Anthony Big Jack Gordon, they call him. Rebound by Joe Wolf. That's Lebo. Mitchell, Ponder, Charles, Johnson, and Gordon on the floor for the Alabama Birmingham Blazers.
And now more than ever, if you're Alabama Birmingham, you've got to go inside. I think they know that. They're going to get to the free throw line. They got to start making these free throws.
That's 4 fouls on Lebo. So he joins his 2 big men in some foul trouble. And that'll bring Steve Hale back in. Lebo will go to the bench.
Get used to watching Jeff Lebo. He's going to be an outstanding star at North Carolina. Only a freshman. Much heralded when he came out of high school at Carlisle High in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He's the greatest athlete, they say, in Carlisle since Jim Thorpe.
Ponder at the line makes 1. UAB's got to make a run here during this period where Carolina has been in foul trouble.
And they got to make their free throws to make the run.
That's right. There's a steal by Charles. Charles now backs off, looking for help. Goes to Mitchell. It's blocked from behind. Gordon recovers. Ponder won't go for him, and Wolf rebounds, and a foul call.
We indicated that Alabama Birmingham under Gene Bartow still needs to go inside, but they're reluctant to do so, or if they do, they're unsuccessful, whereas North Carolina has had some success inside.
Charles picked up a foul for the Blazers, his second. Hobson back in the game for Carolina. Feed inside, knocked away, but a foul called on Wolf, I believe.
His second personal foul.
Still not quite free throw time.
16th foul. Back in line for Carolina. 54 Warren.
I'll take it Gordon, pardon me, the foul against UAB. Gordon, his second of the game, Anthony Gordon.
Shooting 2.
Hobson at the line. Hobson, a highly recruited high school player from Ashley, Pennsylvania. Now a junior with North Carolina.
You got Brad Doherty with 4 fouls. You got Warren Martin with 4 fouls. And yet, when you're Dean Smith, you don't worry that much. You just got so much talent on that bench that he can just keep running him in and out. He can juggle it.
11:28 remaining in the second half.
Trapping zone defense by North Carolina.
Good pass for Gordon. They get Gordon, pardon me, the foul against UAB. Gordon, his second of the game, Anthony Gordon.
Shooting 2.
Hobson at the line. Hobson, a highly recruited high school player from Ashley, Pennsylvania. Now a junior with North Carolina.
You got Brad Doherty with 4 fouls. You got Warren Martin with 4 fouls. And yet, when you're Dean Smith, you don't worry that much. You just got so much talent on that bench that he can just keep running him in and out. He can juggle it.
11:28 remaining in the second half.
Trapping zone defense by North Carolina.
Good pass for Gordon. Won't go for him. Carolina comes up with the ball. Smith from Hunter. Steal. Good work by Mitchell and Ponder, and the foul on Kenny Smith.
Well, based on Mitchell's free throw shooting, that might have been a smart foul because they had a distinct advantage down at the other end of the court and probably would have had a dunk or a layup.
Mitchell normally 73% from the floor. Gene Bartow saying, you know, things have got to turn for the better here. 14 points down. And Mitchell, it's just not his day. They got the rebound for him. He goes out to Ponder and some action in the paint.
Yeah, they give someone else an opportunity at the free throw line. Mitchell comes over to his bench and looks at his coach and shakes his head, and they're going to take him out of the game. Just give him another rest.
Foster comes in for Mitchell. He'll join Ponder in the backcourt.
It's inexplicable why an outstanding talent like a Mitchell would have a shooting game like this and what many could term his most important game, maybe his last game with the way we're going in college basketball.
All-time leading scorer at Alabama Birmingham, also the all-time assist and steals leader. Gordon, 8 points on the game for Anthony Gordon. Kenny Smith. Big
Look at
Warren
this.
Martin. Nice move, but couldn't finish it off.
Yeah.
7-footer wearing a knee brace and
Yeah, quick first step.
playing with a sprained foot and a brace on his knee. Pretty mobile big man. Joe Wolf checks back in. Martin goes out. So Wolf and Hobson are the 2 big men for Carolina now. They just roll them out at you. Well, elsewhere earlier today, LSU with an upset over Memphis State, 83-81 in the Southeast. Yeah, Georgia Tech over Villanova, 66-61. Kansas, as expected, over Temple.
7 for 18 at the free throw line, UAB, and a lot of those are now the front end of 1-and-1s.
Hunter underneath, Joe Wolf. Archie Johnson wrestles a rebound. Earlier here today, Louisville over Bradley, 82-68. They'll meet the winner of this contest next week in Houston.
North Carolina has not been impressive in the second half here on offense, and they haven't had to be.
I think we're seeing a somewhat discouraged Blazers team from Alabama Birmingham. They just can't seem to get anything going. They make a good play here, a good play there, but no roll, no rhythm.
Yeah, and it looks like a very discouraged bench as you look at it. Well, I think Dean Smith probably explained to his team at halftime, the reason we're not further ahead is that you let them back into the game because you let up a little on defense. And North Carolina's played a much stickier defense here in the first 10 minutes of the second half.
Archie Johnson makes the first, and Warren Martin comes back in. He's got 4 fouls. Hobson goes to the bench. Johnson cuts it down to 9. 54-45.
They go to man-to-man defense. Alabama Birmingham does. Let's see what North Carolina does with that.
9:58 to play here, regulation time. We'll be going to Brent Musburger in New York to bring you up to date on all the activities of the day. This is the final game today in the NCAA tournament activity.
He's trying to say that Kenny Smith pushed off with his hand, and that's what the official says too. Did Kenny Smith, with his offhand, his non-dribbling hand, push off? If he did it before we saw it. There, right there, he said he pushed off. He did a little.
Smith and Doherty are the leading scorers. We'll see that again.
Yeah, he really did, and did it well.
Smith and Doherty, the leading scorers, with 12 points each for Carolina, but they've been really kind of quiet for a while. Of course, Doherty's been on the bench with 4 fouls, and he's back out there now. Tracy Foster hits one from the line, 54-46. So the Blazers sneaking back into this again with 9:52 still to play. So with 9:52 on the clock, Carolina 54, but the Blazers back at 47.
And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Tim Ryan with Lynn Shackelford back at Weber State College, Ogden, Utah, as the UAB Blazers have closed the margin to 7 here with a lot of time left, 9:44. It is Carolina ball. They're in white, defending to our left. Alabama Birmingham to our right in green.
As we look at North Carolina on offense, they have not scored in 2.5 minutes. They've been outscored in that span 7-zip.
They've now got 4 of their original starters on the floor, all but Kenny Smith.
It's free throw time for North Carolina as Anthony Gordon gets his third. Warren Martin is going to be tired just getting off and on the up and down from the bench. Wow, does he ever go in and out a lot?
Doherty was on the floor for just a few seconds after the timeout. Wolf at the line. Doherty and Martin each with 4 personals, remember. Wolf, the leading rebounder, with 12 rebounds, cans 2 from the free throw line, and opens the margin 56-47.
Packing in the zone. 2 of their best players, Jerome Mincy and Steve Mitchell, on the bench.
James Ponder, the junior guard from College Park, Georgia. Not much of a factor in the first half. Martin nearly lost it. Gets it off to Lebo. The freshman driving on Foster. Joe Wolf poked in the eye as he tried to go up with the ball. Gordon checking him closely. And the foul will likely be on Gordon. Yes, it is, and I believe that's 4 for Gordon. Anthony Big Jack Gordon, who has been a sometime starter and got the start today, Although in the opening game against Missouri, it was Michael Charles who started for UAB. Collins comes in. Eddie Collins making his first appearance, number 31, a sophomore from Marion Junction, Alabama. Keith High School, 6'8", 220-pounder. (58-49). Wolf with 8 points on the night. Tracy Foster off the front iron, rebound, Carolina. Hunter. Foul off the ball. Collins, I believe, will get the call, number 31. That'll send Wolf to the line again.
Wolf comes in as a 69%er at the line. The team, North Carolina, is very good, 74%. I mention that because I think we're going to see them shooting a lot of free throws here in the last 8.5 minutes of the contest. You've got to gamble if you're Alabama Birmingham. You're going to commit some fouls in doing so. Gene Bartow sitting there with Steve Mitchell, his star player, next to him, and Jerome Mincy, another big star, also on the bench with 4 fouls.
60-49. The Blazers got within 7, but have slipped back again. Whoa, missed pass there. That'll cost them the ball. Ponder broke away as Foster passed it back to him. Hale will inbound it for Carolina. Joe Wolf, little hook off the rim. Rebound, Charles. Tracy Foster. He can't hit. Both teams have cooled off. Hale, nice play. Curtis Hunter. Reverse layup won't go, but Hale follows, and 2 Blazers go down.
They're going to call it on Steve Hale. A good tap by Hale. Excellent tap. He's a lefty, remember. And then smartly, this is where you can pick up a lot of easy baskets. He anticipates that it might be missed, and he's got good position, and he gets better position when he pushes the man out of the way.
Yes, he did. Collins, he got a good hand on him, and the officials picked that up. His 3rd personal foul. So UAB comes to the line. Michael Charles, a sophomore from Birmingham West End High School, at the line. And back in comes Mitchell, and along with Mincy. So the 2 key men now back into the game here for the stretch. 7:57 to play. Mincy and Mitchell return, and it's just been a tough afternoon for Steve Mitchell.
He comes back into the game 2 for 16 from the floor, 1 for 6 at the line. Mincy has 9 points. He's made 4 out of 10, not quite as bad. He's got only 2 rebounds, though.
Pressing now, Alabama Birmingham, trying to make something happen here. Time a factor, 9-point margin. Carolina. Curtis Hunter underneath Wolf. The hook won't drop. Rebound by Warren Martin. Bowls his way up. That won't go, but he's fouled underneath by number 24, and that is Michael Charles.
Number 24, Michael Charles.
Charles' 3rd personal. Martin will go to the line.
If North Carolina can hold on to this lead, and they seem to be doing it at this stage of the game, even though they're not scoring much, especially in the field goal department, they will move down to Houston and play Louisville. And Louisville was very impressive, I thought, in their win over Bradley, taking care of them by a score of 82-68.
12 in a row for Louisville. 13 in a row.
I don't know about you, Tim, but of the 2 teams, North Carolina and Louisville seem to be the more impressive.
Yes, I would say that off today's activity. Of course, when they're out there against each other, if it happens, things, fortunes could be reversed. Mincy won't go for him. Wolf rebounding for Carolina.
Yeah, he's a vacuum cleaner on the boards. 13 rebounds, game high for Wolf at rebounding.
Joe Wolf from Kohler, Wisconsin. Oh, nice play underneath. That is Curtis Hunter on the feed from Wolf. Wolf came into this game with 204 rebounds, averaging 6.4 a game, and he's upped his average today considerably. Mitchell. Nothing will drop for him. Warren Martin rebounds. 63-51 Carolina. They have the ball and the clock. 6:41.
That last basket by North Carolina was their first field goal in 5 minutes. Of course, one of the reasons is that they've been fouled a lot and they've gone to the free throw line, so they haven't had too many chances to score. They're using the clock now. Gosh, we might get to see a four corners offense here.
Curtis Hunter. 65-51. Ponder. That goes. James Ponder.
They don't put on much of a full court press. That would be one thought, put that on, but Steve Hale can handle the ball well, and they got Kenny Smith coming in who handles it even better.
Ponder picks up a foul, and that'll send Lebo to the line. And again, a reminder that CBS Sports Saturday, next Saturday, we'll have the World Figure Skating Championships from Geneva, Switzerland. And the action will continue on Sunday. On Saturday, you'll see the beautiful and wondrous skater Katarina Witt defending her crown. Debbie Thomas, the American champion, will be challenging Katarina. Kevin Madden into the game for the first time today for Carolina as Curtis Hunter goes out. Kevin Madden, a 6'5" freshman from Staunton, Virginia, number 22. Hale at the line, not Lebo, as we had said earlier.
Steve Hale, he's a senior, just accepted to med school, first team academic All-American, and the son of a coach, as is Jeff Lebo. Dean Smith knows what he's doing when he recruits these guys. They play like a son of a coach, too. Very smart players out there.
His father was Jerry Hale. He used to coach at Oral Roberts. And Gene Bartow, just seeing this game now pretty much out of sight for his Blazers from UAB. 67-53. Carolina appears headed to a confrontation with Louisville. Carolina seeded number 3 in the West. Louisville number 2. Off the front iron. Followed by Archie Johnson, and again, and a foul before he can get the next shot off. And it's going to be against the Blazers. No, it's against Warren Martin. His 5th. Martin fouls out. And Martin, the senior center from Axton, Virginia, did yeoman service here today as Doherty got into foul trouble. Martin came in, and Martin winds up fouling out. But he provides great backup support for Brad Doherty on the Carolina team, and that'll bring Brad back into the game. Senior from Black Mountain, North Carolina. 27 points against Utah in the opening game of the West region. Doherty in foul trouble today, only 12 points this afternoon.
Martin fouled out. He left with 5.
Archie Johnson makes the first, cutting the margin to 67-54.
It's so tough for the other UAB players when you know your best scorer, Steve Mitchell, is having one of the worst games of his life. It's almost contagious, and so it's hard for you to play well, and you end up usually kind of playing poorly.
Well, he's their leader, the senior guard from Memphis Whitehaven High School. There's Kenny Smith, and he evidently stepped into the lane, so they're going to get another opportunity, give another opportunity to Archie Johnson from the free throw line. Joe Wolf comes back in. Popson goes out for Carolina. Well, this has been a revolving door today for Dean Smith. Tar Heels.
Every time there's substitution, the entire North Carolina bench stands up and sits down, and so they've been wearing out their legs on the bench just doing that.
Only 2 players have yet to appear, Steve Bucknell and Mike Norwood. Everybody else has been in. And it's been a most interesting day in NCAA competition, and Brent Musburger will bring you up to date on all of the activity that preceded us. We're the last game of the day today. Carolina and Alabama Birmingham. Now Carolina trying to use up some clock with the steal by Charles.
Yeah, North Carolina spreads it out into their four corners, and they were double teamed well.
Lebo, freshman ball handler, calls timeout on instructions from Dean Smith with 4:59 remaining in regulation time. Carolina 67, Alabama Birmingham 57.
In Alamance County.
Statistic here, this is the scoring margin from the regular season play. The amount that these teams win by, to put it in those terms. Cleveland State, the upset winner over Indiana. Boy, they murder people, don't they? 28.9. Carolina second with 18.7.
And all of them,
Syracuse.
Yeah, Navy looks awfully good. All of them are still in the tournament with the exception of Memphis State, which was upset. 3 and 4, Navy and Syracuse meet tomorrow. I think that is a very significant stat. Sometimes people just look at what their total points are, but it's often how much you win the games by is how good really as a team you are.
North Carolina with Jeff Lebo in control. Hale, Lebo, Smith, Doherty, and Wolf. The original 5 starters in there now for the Tar Heels.
This is a good unit to run down the clock with.
13 seconds on the shot clock.
The big men, Wolf and Doherty, are pretty smart ball handlers.
Lebo missing. Good blocking out by Mincy. He's looking for a foul. Didn't get it, but back come the Blazers. And firing away is Mitchell and continuing to miss.
Yeah, again, he missed by hitting the front part of the rim. He's short.
Kenny Smith, boy, can he motor off to Doherty, and there's Archie Johnson up to stop him, but he fouled him. Doherty will go to the line. Steve Mitchell, he's just going to have a tough night's sleep. There's Archie Johnson, his 4th personal foul. Mitchell's going to be replaying this game in his mind for a long time, saying, what happened out there? I mean, I shoot at 46%. I'm the leading scorer all time at this school. How could I have a day like that in a big game like this one? Just a tough afternoon for Steve Mitchell.
Yeah, he's 2 for 19. I don't look for him to move to Ogden in the summertime.
Must be the altitude, right? Doherty at the line. Well, he's contributed so much to his team's success over the years under Dean Bartow. They're just going to have to forget this one and remember the good days.
Okay, they get a basket here. They cut it to 9.
Mincy, front iron, Doherty rebound. Steve Hale. Wolf back to Hale. He's got it. Foul on Johnson. That's 5 for Archie Johnson, and I think that is the 5th, yes, and so Johnson will leave the game, and that'll bring in Anthony Gordon back in, and he's playing with 4. 6 points for Archie Johnson, the senior from Memphis Northside High School. Hale gets the rebound. Smith controls. 3:47 on the clock. Big Brad Doherty.
Yeah,
oh, nice play back to Smith.
He's so good in that, Doherty, as he can handle the ball and then he can make the pass.
72-57. Carolina en route to Houston. Doherty rebounding. Backcourt working the clock. 33 seconds on the shot clock.
And UAB, they're just kind of tossing in the towel. They're not even double teaming the ball. They're just content to play one-on-one.
Foul on Ponder, I believe. 32, James Ponder.
UAB foul 32, James Ponder. His second.
So Carolina, losers of 4 out of their last 5 games, including the first-round loss in the ACC tournament to Maryland. Had some injuries during that stretch. They've got guys relatively healthy, and this will make 2 wins in the NCAA tournament, sending them on to Houston. Kenny Smith with 14 points. Under the 3-minute mark we go, and they will meet Louisville, winners over Bradley earlier today here in Auckland. Doherty comes up with the ball.
Watch, he does a lot of dribbling with his left hand. Very confident with it.
5 seconds.
5 seconds on Lebo. That's, of course, the danger when you spread it out like that. Run your 4 corners. And, of course, in the NCAA tournament, only one team finishes their season with a victory, and so everybody else finishes with a loss. And for our UAB, it's going to be very discouraging, as it is for others.
So we're under 3 minutes, 2:26 to go with Carolina 72, Alabama Birmingham 59. Game is gone as the Tar Heels have attacked the Blazers all afternoon. Don't forget, all of the day's activities in the NCAA will be featured on Brent Musburger's show following our coverage here in Ogden, Utah. You'll get all of the scores, highlights from the major games, and it's been quite an exciting day in the NCAA. Several upsets, and Brent will tell you all about them. We'll be going there when we conclude our telecast here from Ogden, Utah, with 2:26 to play.
Technical foul on Mincy, apparently overplaying the inbounds pass. As we look at it again, yeah, you can't reach over like that.
So that'll send Smith to the line for a freebie here. Icing on the cake, 73 to 59. The Tar Heels will be making their 6th consecutive trip to the Final 16 of the NCAA tournament. The only school in the country to be in the Final 16 in each of the past 5 years. So just a tremendous history continues for the Tar Heels. Dean Smith in his 25th year at North Carolina. What a job he's done. 73 to 59. Smith over the timeline. Back outside for Hale. And Hale starts to drive the lane and was fouled by Charles, I believe, 24. Gene, I'm afraid, just can't wait for this one to be over. But again, well, we have to look back on a distinguished history in the NCAA tournament as well. He coached Memphis State and UCLA to the Final Four in his career, and he's had this team in 6 years out of 8 into the tournament. Dean Smith perhaps having a difficult time gauging at what level his team is performing. This game has not really, I don't think, given him a good picture, Lynn.
I agree. But I think he's going to find out in a hurry when he plays Louisville, because now he's matched up against a team that has the same size as his team and the same experience and played the same tough schedule.
This is Mincy. Charles trying to chip in. Doherty is there. He's a load. Somebody stepped out, and it might have been Doherty over the end line, and it will be Blazers' ball.
I think Gene Bartow's not only discouraged because he's lost the game, but I think he was kind of discouraged the way his team played. I think he feels his team can play better than this, and they didn't give as good a showing as he had hoped.
And again, there's Mitchell off the front iron. Just been his problem all day, as Lynn Shackelford has been pointing out. The next time he's in Weber State will be too soon, I think, for Steve Mitchell. Charles goes to the line. And the left-hander misses that one. Doherty comes down with it. 1:47 to go. Carolina with victories over the Utes of Utah. Not an easy one, although the score would be a little deceiving if you just read it in the paper. 84 to 72. Utah gave Carolina a difficult time well into the second half. But the better Carolina team prevailed, and today headed to victory over Alabama Birmingham Blazers, the number 6 seed in the West. The Blazers will finish 25-11. Tar Heels move to 28-5. Joe Wolf, he's had a big game today for the Tar Heels, particularly on the boards.
Game high 15 rebounds for Wolf. You know, there's a good steal.
Well, Ponder's playing this one right to the finish. Unable to stay in bounds. And now into the game for the Blazers to get their taste of NCAA action. Turner comes in. And Evans back in. Cedric Evans, he was in earlier. Turner played some earlier as well. Number 34, Dylan Howard.
There were a lot of people that were speculating that University of Alabama Birmingham could sneak into the Final Four. Possibilities, but no way when Steve Mitchell's going to have an off game like he had today. He had to have outstanding games all the way.
James Ponder. Rebound by Charles. Keeps it alive for the Blazers. Turner up to Ponder. From the corner. Won't drop for Dylan Howard, and it's rebounded by Kenny Smith. 43 seconds and 40 seconds on the shot clock. So Carolina can finish it up.
Well, with all of his substituting and everything, Dean Smith's got his starting lineup and his real good ball handlers in here to run this spread out offense. I think that was by design.
Well, the Blazers cheerleaders will have to think to next year. Great to be in the tournament. Great to make the tournament. 25-11 on the season. Went to the final of their Sun Belt tournament, losing to Jacksonville 70-69. Beat Missouri in the first round here 66-64. And going out against one of the class teams in NCAA history and another tough team this year. It's the Tar Heels of North Carolina, the number 3 seed in the West region.
Great balance for North Carolina. 4 of the 5 starters have between 10 and 16 points, and Lebo, the other starter, has 8.
Hale winds up as the leader with 16 points. 77-59. Now make it Kenny Smith now with that free throw moves to 17.
So now it's almost official. Louisville versus North Carolina. That'll be down in Houston, Texas. And based on the performance today by the 2 teams, I like Louisville. They seem to be a little more settled down and know what their roles are. Not only was Steve Mitchell, Tim, 3 for 21, 1 for 6 at the line. Howard can't can it, and Bucknall comes up with it. Bucknall, the London-born Tar Heel, and that's it. From Ogden, Utah, as Dean Smith and Gene Bartow exchange handshakes, the Tar Heels will move on to Houston to meet the Cardinals of Louisville. 77-59 the final score here over the Blazers from Alabama, Birmingham. And it's been our pleasure to work with our fine crew here in Ogden, Utah all afternoon.